Okay, so the first thing will be to build the little chassis section underneath the pilot seat there. So we've got a heavy block here. Let's pull the pilot seat out and put it up there. Actually, let's get rid of that for now. And then we've got just a standard block in front of that, although this one can be a heavy block as well. Reason, just because. Hey, clone the heavy block. Why you're not clone? Are you sure that's a heavy block or is it just a white? No, it's a white block, okay. Alright, yeah, so anyway, so we put those ones in place. Now we do have heavy blocks behind there, so there's two heavy blocks at the back. And we've got some white blocks. These should all be solid white blocks. So we'll just put, I think it's 1, 2, 3, like that. And in front of that, I'll do the version that you should be able to build to start with. Which actually I'll do the version that's not got the heavy blocks on it. So let's pull those off. Although as soon as you have the option to put those on, then certainly unlock them because it will help. So this is the point where the pilot seat's actually going to sit, and we build all the way around that. Now the inside looks deceptively simple, and it's actually not. You'll see that I've actually got prisms being used for the wheel mounting points for protection from the front. These blocks here, the reason I'm using full-size blocks is because it helps to add some mass to the design, which you need that to stop it from spinning out when going around corners and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get these, make sure we got clone mode on first, get those put on, and then we're putting the first set of wheels here. Which, to be honest, no, that's exactly how it needs to be. Duh, I'm being dumb. Then we got a block, and we got a set of wheels like this, and we got the rear set of wheels here, which they're not connected on in quite the same way. We have a little spar out there, and then we just have another block in front, so it's. And this is the basic base, and now we get two steering wheels, and the steering wheels go on this block here. We get two non-steering wheels that go there, which I don't actually have extra non-steering wheels because I haven't bought any in however long. And anyways, just buy a bunch. It's not exactly going to cost me anything. So anyway, wheels, and the steering wheels go there, and then in these spaces here we just put some standard blocks, like so. And that's what we got. The guns are actually mounted on standard blocks as well, so we put some more in here. Now you can choose whether or not you want to use the lights on here. I'm actually just going to build the version that doesn't have the lights in the front, so it's literally just a relatively simple plate. So it's a tetra on the side, prism, tetra in here, just to fill in space. And then on the back we've got a simple build, so it's just a matter of having the bottom layer completed. And then the next layer is a little bit more complex. So you've got the pilot seat that actually goes here, and you'll see where I've got these prisms that are kind of spaced so they're not connecting onto things. This is actually something called triforcing, and it allows you to manage how the damage flow actually goes through your bot. So what I'm going to do is, first thing, I'm going to start out by just putting a block down where the pilot seat's going to go, which, if we get that right, is here. And then I'm going to use that to actually connect the side blocks on, and you'll see where they're not actually connected at the moment. And then you've got these ones here which are kind of inverted in a similar kind of matter, so I'm just going to use some more stuff to frame that. And this just means that any damage that actually comes to these blocks doesn't actually get transferred down into the frame. and to the blocks where your pilot seat actually is connected, because if both of those get blown up, then you're dead. So that's a pretty key part of design philosophy in Robocraft, is learning how to manage damage flow. So next we just put some solid blocks here. I'm not so concerned about triforcing these ones. And then on the back we've just got a set of prisms. And now if you want to concentrate more on triforcing, you can triforce or space these ones. This isn't really proper triforcing, but it just means the damage to this will be routed around here first before it actually gets transmitted into that block. And then we've got the block that goes underneath here, which do I want to have some kind of spacing on there? Not really. I mean, it might help, but for now I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to put some tetras like so. And then a prism here. And based on the fact that most of I should be facing the enemy most of the time, that's why I'm putting this block here to help shield the mounting point for the gun, and there will be another block in front which will also act as a shield for the gun mounting point. But yeah, so let's get that block in, and we do have to bring this forward by another few blocks. So if we go, I think it was there. And then this is actually a string of prisms that actually sits on the front here. So let's get these in place. Here you go. And now we get the prisms that go here. Now we can't do anything really to try and reinforce this mounting point because unfortunately the gun's right on the outside. And then we put that prism in place. And that's more or less the structure. We've got a few things still to tidy up. I think we had something like that on the design below. Yeah, oh, it's a little bit different. We've got a block that stands out the back. There we go, and that's just an extra shield around the pilot seat. And then we've got a couple of blocks that do go in here, I think. Okay, we just added prisms in, and now the reason we're using prisms on these ones is because it does help to cut a little bit of the top mass from the design. And you'll find that this has a tendency to want to try and roll if you try and turn too quickly. So cutting any additional mass from the top of the build is a good idea. And then it's just a matter of grabbing, how many did we have again? 6, 8, 9 T1 guns. And to turn on clone mode it's X, in case you're wondering. I need to buy some more T1 guns because I'm out. Control when buying stuff to buy multiples. There we go. And final thing is just to place the pilot seat in. There you go. And what will happen if I try to enter the game, you see all those disconnected blocks there. Let's try and enter battle. It's going to warn me to say that anything that's not connected to the pilot seat is going to get lost. And that's actually an easy way to just delete a bot. You just put a pilot seat on a block with a moving part and it just takes everything away. Anyway, so let's go and play a game and see how this runs. So this is the version that doesn't have any weighted cubes on it, so it's going to be a little bit more prone to flipping. And I'll show you where to actually put the cubes for best advantage. Okay, and here we go. And I'll show you what happens because of the lack of weight. When I try to turn a corner really quickly, you're going in the way. Here we go, let's try turning. No, it's not happening right now. There we go. See, it has a tendency to just want to roll over like that. And then you have to right yourself by pressing F. So you want to do what you can to prevent that from happening. Don't forget to spot enemies by pressing Q. And don't just constantly hold down the fire because it reduces your accuracy. Move, get out of combat. There we go. Now I've got later on in the game you'll be able to get repaired, and in the version that's coming up, which is going to soon be released, you can repair at the home base over time, or you've got people that can repair you with a weapon called nanos, which looks like a beam. But yeah, so that wasn't a shining example of gameplay there, but it illustrates nicely some of the issues with this being a very lightweight bot. And so what we're going to do to help mitigate some of the control issues is replace some of these blocks with heavy blocks, which I've got loads of those, and they're these ones which you unlock here. On the tech tree, the heavy blocks are, I think you can get them by default. Yes, you can. So yeah, you shouldn't need to unlock anything, you just start buying a few. You only need to get 4. And are these free? No, they're a few RP each, so it's 3 RP per block. So you'll want to get 4 of those, and it's a worthwhile investment. And then we put 1 here, press X to make sure clone mode is on, take these blocks out here, put some there, and we're going to put 1 further back here. Now the reason we're actually having it near the back is it's not really going to prevent you from wheeling, but you don't want the extra weight to hold the nose down if you're going to dive off cliffs or anything. So, because that can actually cause you to do some weird stuff like flipping over. So that's why I've got them arranged in this pattern, and that's actually should be enough to stabilize the entire design. So let's go to battle and try it out. You do have to be wary that the more weight you put onto a bot, the heavier it gets and the less responsive it becomes. So you do want to watch out for putting too much additional weight on there. And now hopefully what you should see as soon as the game starts is the slightly more resilient, not resilient, it's slightly harder to roll. So let's give that a test. Come on. Sorry if I having to wait for the timer, I should have done this in practice mode. So if I start turning fast, it's not as prone to trying to go up on those side wheels, which is a huge benefit. And the bot is relatively front heavy anyway, so that's another reason for not putting additional mass onto the front. Anyway, so let's just finish this game, and that's a quick and pretty effective tier 1 design, and I'll show you some upgrades that you can do to it as well, just to make it a little bit better. After this game anyway. No, Looks like this team is dominating fairly adequately here. Ah! Out of my way. Now, where is the combat actually going down? This is why it's always important to spot people whenever you have opportunity. There's one. There we go, game over. We win by capping, but yeah, so that's pretty much the design. So what would I upgrade first? Well, at the moment you can unlock tier 2 guns relatively quickly, but that is going to change with the current metagame update. And there's a few things that I'd probably improve before going and switching out the guns. So it's these blocks here that are underneath here. I'm going to do the same Triforcing type effect and make sure that these blocks cannot be blown up directly from the front. So of course make sure clone mode is on by pressing X, and then I'm replacing those with prisms so that there's no actual connection to the block in front. So when this block gets blown up, the damage, excess damage, isn't going to immediately transmit through to this block, it's going to go through to here, and it just means this should hopefully last a little bit longer. Now in terms of armoring, you'd want to start off with just getting some brown armor, and make sure that you replace the blocks in front of these first. So this is one of the reasons why I actually build up off the floor of the bay, so that I can actually do some advanced placement like that. Now I had to put that block underneath it just so that I could replace them with more armored blocks, and then do the same thing there. And you always also want to make sure that the blocks the guns are mounted onto are reinforced as well. And the other one would be to make sure that the blocks the pilot seat are actually mounted onto are reinforced. I mean, it's not really going to make a huge difference in this design because there's not a lot of additional movement stuff or movement modules that are actually connected to the pilot seat. But for more resilient designs, you want to try and have solid connections to some of your critical movement items that are then protected. And yeah, anyway. So I am going to, however, make sure that those are connected across like so. And then of course we're reinforcing these connection points as well. Now obviously we're using prisms here, which if we had these connected to the block behind, that would actually be more preferred. And that is a weakness in this particular version of the design, so we're going to fix that now. And of course I've got loads of light chassis cubes I can use for this, but you may not have. So let's take the block that this is connected to. Let's take the gun off first, that'll make it easier. Put a light chassis cube here. And then I'm going to connect to that using a prism so that it's not actually connected to this block here. It's actually relying on this block to be alive. Not too happy about that. But then you've got additional protection from this gun here, so the damage actually has to flow all the way through here before it actually gets to this mounting point. So let's put those guns back on there. And yeah, it's just make sure you're armoring the areas around your guns initially. And of course these ones on the side here. And you've got plenty of CPU to play with. Not CPU, yeah, but tier to play with in terms of keeping this as a tier 1 design. And then let's just roll with that and see what kind of difference it makes. Okay, here we go. So now we've got a little bit more mass on here as well from those other blocks, because the higher tier blocks are heavier, and you will feel it in the responsiveness. It won't feel quite as nippy as it was before. So that's a reason why you'd actually want to upgrade the wheels at some point. Plus the other wheels have more armor. So there's multiple reasons for wanting to actually upgrade. Okay, it looks like people are going into combat down here. Ah, party foul. And now that I'm flipped, I have to press F so that I can right myself. And while you're righting, you can actually move your bot around. Uh-oh. Got him. Phew, that was lucky. Yeah, so you can actually move your bot around a little bit by using the arrow keys. It's recommended. And you can also spot other vehicles while you're writing as well. So don't forget to use the Q key if you see enemies coming nearby. And of course I'm spamming my weapons. There we go. And that's 4 kills down. Let's go to... Ah! Right ourselves again. Let's go to our cap just to make sure the... nothing happens there, although we've only got 2 enemies left, so it's not really enough to worry about. So it's your choice. You can either go back and just help defend your base just to make sure, or you can go ahead and try and cap or hunt down the other enemies. Alright, there's one of them going. Let's see if I can actually push this dude. Nope. Oh, there we go. Game over. And 5 kills. Anyway, so yeah, the next thing to upgrade would just be switching the T1 guns to T2 and switching out to T2 armor. This overall design will actually work very well in Tier 2 as well. So yeah, it's a basic cruiser, but it's a pretty effective design. So thank you very much for watching this part of the video, and yeah, we'll see you in the next tutorial type thingy. Actually, let's see if I've got any spare bays for making like a Tier 2 thingy. Man, all of these bays I've got